equation. So we have x to the fourth minus 5x to the third plus 3x squared minus 15x equals 0. So this equation starting off, and I did make this mistake myself, I put both of the two terms next to each other in parentheses without checking if there is a common factor, but there is in fact one, and that would be x. So within all of these terms, there is one common thing that you can pull out, and that would be x. So I am going to do that, but I'm also going to bring it down and write it down here because it's easy to forget that it's there. So I'm going to put it down here because that will be a part of the final answer. So from here on, you have x, in parentheses, you have x to the third minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 15 equals 0. So from here on, you can factor, since this equation is for terms, there is no need to do what multiplies into one number and adds together to equal the other, because there are already 4 terms. And from here on, you can just put these 2 terms next to each other into parentheses and factor from here on. So let's do that. All right, so common thing I can pull out of the first would be x squared, which would leave x minus 5. And common thing I could pull out of this would be 3, which would leave x minus 5. And then I'm going to keep my equal 0 because it makes me feel safe. Main thing you want to make sure here is that both of the equations in the parentheses are the same. If they're not, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not doing it right. So just make sure that you check for common factors you can pull out in the beginning of the equation before you go ahead, or else you could get the wrong answer. So from here on, I could put x squared plus 3 and then x minus 5 into parentheses. And I'm going to put them down here too, because this is our factored answer. So if you were like graphing or anything like this, you could actually use these in order to graph your equation. Obviously, there are 2 ways you can put it in, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so from here on, you can actually solve these little factors. So x would equal 0 because it's just x. From here, you can put x squared plus 3 equals 0, and that's typically how you would do it. You would literally just put the factors equals 0 and then solve it from there. So you can subtract 3 from both sides, and then that would leave x squared equals negative 3. Then you can square root the x squared and square root the negative 3. And that would leave x equals plus or minus an imaginary number because of the little negative on the inside of the square root in our last step, square root of 3. For x minus 5, it's pretty easy. Just equals 0. Add 5 to both of the sides, and you have x plus 5, x equals positive 5. And so our answers, I should say, are x equals plus or minus the square root of imaginary number, square root of 3, x equals 0, and x equals 5.